wouldn't want to sit and talk to lying
Well, I
trash
think
like
that's
you.
sad. I think we should have drawn a line.
Yeah.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're looking at times famous faces ruined their own television careers, but the incidents don't have to have happened on air.
Creed!
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 20. Harold Wilson. Did you know that former Labour Prime Minister Harold Wilson had a brief television career?
Let me introduce the lady described by Jim Callaghan as the sexiest thing on television.
Following his 2 terms in Number 10 and a long career as a leader of the Labour Party, Wilson decided to try his hand at TV presenting, and he headed over to the BBC. In October 1979, Wilson presented 2 shows of Friday night, Saturday morning, with disastrous results.
Who is the sexiest man on TV?
Oh, you mean next to you?
Well, I wasn't.
Terry Wogan, Barry Manilow, and you again.
While as a Prime Minister, Wilson accomplished a lot, as a presenter and interviewer, he was dire, asking inane questions and even getting guests to repeat themselves when he appeared not to hear their answers. Presenting television is harder than it looks, and nobody proved that more than Wilson.
In my youth, I did play Shakespeare, Desdemona, and things like that, but I'm a bit past it now, I think.
Now, tell me...
Say no.
Number 19. Noel Clarke. In 2021, articles began to appear in The Guardian detailing allegations made against Clarke by various women. In all, allegations from 26 individuals were released, and Clarke's career came to a standstill.
Detective drama Viewpoint has filled ITV's prime time slot every night this week, but tonight's final episode has been cancelled.
Episodes of his shows were pulled, series were cancelled, and he was suspended from the BAFTAs. The Met got involved, but later said the allegations, ranging from harassment to Clarke trying to ruin other people's careers, wouldn't be investigated further.
They allege Clarke is a serial abuser of women, using his power in the industry to prey on and harass female colleagues.
Clarke has since mounted a defamation case against The Guardian to the tune of £10 million.
But it has now emerged that a fortnight before this ceremony, the organisation had received anonymous emails with allegations about Mr Clarke.
Fellow Doctor Who alumni John Barrymore has also seen his work dry up following resurfaced stories of him exposing himself on set, though he's apologised repeatedly. Number 18. Jeremy Kyle. To a degree, Jeremy Kyle has made a return to broadcasting in the wake of the 2019 scandal that shocked Britain, though many would prefer he stayed off the airwaves for good.
The show finished?
Yes.
After 14 years, rather suddenly.
After the tragic death of a guest who appeared on the show, Steve Diamond, it was permanently taken off the air. Many said that the Jeremy Kyle show should have ended years sooner, or perhaps should have never been made at all. And others said Kyle himself should face criminal charges for his part in the incident.
I think initially, I think I suffered from real shock.
But shockingly, in 2022, Kyle made a limited return to television by fronting a show on Talk TV, ranting about the dangers of cancel culture.
So you lost a job, you worked hard at, you feel sorry for a lot of people, but there's people dying.
Number 17. Chris Morris.
A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
It's only Morris's TV career that's died. He was a satirical titan in the 1990s, creating the Day to Day alongside Armando Iannucci and eventually leading Brass Eye on his own. But in 2001, the Pedogeddon special aired, and it was so mind-blowingly controversial that Morris's career in mainstream television essentially ended.
Good night, children. They're safe tonight. Are yours?
He'd later transition into film, making 4 Lions, and would also appear in The IT Crowd, but crucially, he didn't write any of The IT Crowd.
Baltimora. This means literally, I'm running at them now with my trousers down.
It's clear that Morris's days as a writer and leading creative in British TV were numbered from the beginning, and his satire is just as biting today as it was when it was new. Number 16, Lawrence Fox. Time and time again, Fox has embarrassed himself on our TV screens.
Do you regret saying that? Because it's slightly... I would say of all the things that you've said in the last 2 weeks, I've been cheering you on right to that point.
His descent began years ago, but he had a particularly notable appearance on Question Time in 2020, where he made widely condemned comments about white privilege. Since then, Fox unsuccessfully ran to be Mayor of London, got himself sacked from GB News for comments made about journalist Ava Evans, and then found himself arrested in October 2023.
As you've noticed, I say quite a lot of unfortunate things, but I think it's really important that one is able to express one's opinion.
This was for conspiring to damage ULEZ cameras in London. Fox hasn't appeared as an actor on television since 2020, and it doesn't look likely he'll be back on screens anytime soon.
Are you worried about the impact on your career as an actor? Because the acting world is very woke in many ways. Are you worried about that?
We'll have to wait and see.
Number 15, Jeremy Clarkson. His time at the BBC ended on a sour note when he was embroiled in a producer-punching scandal.
Why didn't your contract get renewed? What went wrong? The whole Top Gear...
It was tricky, and there were tricky times.
The BBC didn't renew Clarkson's contract, and James May and Richard Hammond walked out with him in solidarity. They'd go on to make the Grand Tour for Amazon, but in January 2023, Amazon announced it was going to, quote, part ways with Clarkson.
It was really hard. It was just getting harder and harder to do that show because it was getting bigger and bigger all the time.
That's despite the Grand Tour and Clarkson's Farm both being runaway successes. It all happened because Clarkson made disparaging remarks about the Duchess of Sussex in The Sun. The Grand Tour still has some specials left to come, but Clarkson was found by regulators to have discriminated against Markle.
All I can say is, when you send Amazon a film, their television people in Los Angeles, they ring up and squeak with joy.
Number 14, George Galloway.
This is a whole film about your sort of accusations of Tony Blair, but what do you think should happen to the former Prime Minister?
Well, it's about accountability.
Like Harold Wilson, George Galloway is best known as a political figure, though he never got anywhere near Downing Street, and he likely never will, since he's not yet lived down his scandalous appearance on Big Brother. He ended up pretending to be a cat for Coronation Street's Rula Lenska, who encouraged the whole extremely weird episode.
But because if you don't punish people for such wrongdoing, why should the next group of leaders do anything differently?
Though by this point, Galloway had already been kicked out of the Labour Party, his Big Brother incident surely made him persona non grata all over again, and he was soon kicked out of Parliament entirely. He's gone on to have one controversy after another ever since.
It was no longer a Labour Party by the time he left it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he called it New Labour, but that was really non-Labour, and by the end it was anti-Labour.
Number 13, Phillip Schofield. Following months of controversy and speculation, Phillip Schofield's long television career ended in 2023 when he stepped down from This Morning.
Phillip Schofield has now walked away completely from the network after admitting he lied to his bosses and the public about an affair.
Following his brother's conviction of various offences, Schofield admitted publicly that long-standing rumours about him having an affair with a much younger man were, in fact, true.
He said he had not been truthful because he wanted to protect the colleague who he had helped to get a job on the programme as a teenager.
He said the relationship was, quote, unwise but not illegal, though many still wondered about the uneven power dynamics when the person he had an affair with worked as a runner on This Morning. Schofield and the young man denied the affair to everyone until it couldn't be hidden anymore, and Schofield has now completely disappeared from broadcasting.
Tonight, he confirmed that he's quit ITV altogether, apologising for lying to the broadcaster.
Number 12, Prince Andrew.
And I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party.
If you can call being born into the royal family a career, Prince Andrew certainly destroyed his during this appearance on Newsnight.
bath,
there's
possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat.
He was interviewed for the long special about allegations he was involved with Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking operation made by one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre.
Because she was very specific. She described the dance that you had together in Tramp. She described meeting you. She was a 17-year-old girl.
The Duke of York purportedly thought he'd done a good job in the interview, but when it aired, it turned out he'd done more damage to the royal family than anybody else in recent memory.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
His stories about going to Pizza Express in Woking and a bizarre claim that he's unable to sweat since the Falklands will haunt him forever. Number 11. Michael Barrymore. In 2001, a man named Stuart Lubbock was found unconscious in the swimming pool of TV star Michael Barrymore's home.
All three were released without charge. But the damage to Michael's career seemed irreversible.
He later died, and initial investigations determined that Lubbock was likely a victim of foul play. Barrymore and his other guests were interviewed by police numerous times, but no one was ever charged. Lubbock's death remains unsolved, but Barrymore has rarely appeared on TV since.
Michael Parker, me, has an alibi from 3 people in the period immediately prior to the discovery of Stuart in the pool. I therefore conclude that there is insufficient evidence against all 3 suspects.
Other people involved at the time say they believe a cover-up has happened, and the investigation has been closed and reopened many times. As recently as 2021, a man was arrested, but was released without charge. Barrymore's consistently failed to resurrect his career.
The truth about this, Michael, isn't it, is that we may never know the truth.
Yes.
Number 10, Teddy Sinclair / Natalia Gills / Verbalicious. In the 5 years since her outburst on The X Factor in New Zealand during the short-lived show's second season, Teddy Sinclair has become a household name in the UK. Oh wait, sorry, her alter ego Natalia Gills has. Nope. Well, what about Verbalicious? Well, her neither.
As an artist who respects creative integrity and intellectual property, I am disgusted at how much you have copied my husband. From the hair to the suit, do you not have any value or respect for originality?
Okay, so British rock singer Teddy Natalia Verba Sinclair Killsalicious is not particularly well known in the UK, and that's probably because she has a career in New Zealand, or at least had one, before she ripped contestant Joe Irvine apart because he looked a little bit like her husband during the X Factor's first live show.
It's like Norman Bates dressing up in his mother's clothing. It's just a little bit creepy, and I feel like you're going to stitch someone's skin to your face and then kill everybody in the audience.
Sacked the next day, the pair claimed they were told to amp up the drama, although we're not convinced that was quite what was intended by the show bosses.
It's absolutely disgusting. You have no identity. I can't stand it. I'm ashamed to be here.
Number 9, Derek Akora.
Francis!
The late, extravagant ex-footballer turned medium, although we're using that term very lightly here, makes it to this list thanks to his involvement with the most haunted television series. The show, where Akora was the resident medium speaking, again using the term lightly, to the long dead, was watched with raised eyebrows as he convulsed, talked in strange accents, but showed accurate knowledge of events that he was told by the spirits who possessed him. Creed! That was until show producers smelled a rat and fed him false historical information about made-up people, which he somehow became possessed by on air. His takeover by Creed Kafer, an anagram of Derek Faker, meant the only dead thing Akora would interact with from then on was his career.
Derek? Carl, come forward, Derek.
Number 8, Kerry Katona. This was a really tough entry, to be completely honest, because we're not convinced of who was really responsible for the demise of Katona's career. Nor do we think it's a particularly bad thing, given the trajectory of it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that it makes you like, wow, to how I am now, it was such a relief. I mean, they were so big.
When the former Atomic Kitten singer showed up on ITV's This Morning in 2008, slurring her words and unable to focus, surely alarm bells were ringing in producers' ears. Nope, instead they put her on air for Phillip Schofield and Fern Britton to try and speak to.
I mean, your speech is a bit slurred. I mean, how are you feeling now? It is a bit.
That's probably because I have medication at night time.
Do you?
Which I took about 11:30 last night, didn't I, Mark?
Luckily, it was evident to everyone else that she hadn't laid her addictions to rest, as she had claimed, killing off her TV career for then and giving her the needed impetus to start over when she was healthy.
Thank you
for answering our questions.
No problem, thank you.
You might have felt you were put on the spot. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Number 7, Shane Ritchie. We know what you're thinking, but watch Mojo. Shane Ritchie has a career. Yes, he does. But if we were to ask you what he was famous for, you wouldn't say movie star, which is what he intended.
We've got this character. It's going to be called Alfie Moon.
Instead, you'd probably say Daz, which killed his movie career. Okay, actually most of you younger viewers would say Alfie Moon, and you'd be right. But the last time we checked, EastEnders was a family soap, and Albert Square is definitely not a movie setting. By his own admission, taking on the Daz adverts in 1995 killed his attempts at a movie career stone dead.
How are you?
Oh, no!
Well, there you go. Another day, another door slammed.
A shame, really. He could have been the British Tom Cruise. Okay, maybe not.
Oh, yeah, it's got to go on telly, you see.
Number 6, Preston. Poor Preston. This one was a classic career suicide. Surely, he must have known that if you go up against a comedian with the wit of Simon Amstell, it's not going to end well.
Preston was worried it would alienate hardcore Ordinary Boys fans, but luckily, neither of them were in the country. Or existed.
Nor did it, as Preston found the typical jabs on guests to be excessive, and did a runner from an episode of Buzzcocks.
The Paris Hilton work was a low point for me. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing, and on top of that, it caused me some real problems with my hair.
The problem for Preston was that the episode arguably got funnier without the Ordinary Boys frontman, as Bill Bailey replaced the singer with an audience member called Ed. You'd have thought his strop would have created some controversy to play off, but we're struggling to remember any Preston appearance or song ever since.
Preston, we're having fun!
Fine.
Come on, Preston. Oh no, we can't lose Preston.
I guess he thought he's been voted out.
Number 5, Kim Woodburn. For those who don't know, Kim Woodburn is the anthropomorphic personification of a forest fire, which is why her name is so incredibly apt.
I know what I went through.
Now let her rant on.
I know what I went through.
Awful. It was Why do you awful what think you you- went through, Kim.
Her original break into her TV career was as a co-presenter on How Clean Is Your House? However, following that show, the Queen of Clean tore through the jungle during 2009's I'm a Celeb, wherein she had her fair share of to-dos.
You know what you did, and I'm going to tell you something.
I tell you what I
Here,
did. I
just a
didn't
minute.
tell you how vile you are from day one. That's
you,
what
my
I should
dear,
have done.
you, my dear.
You're a horrible, self-centered, publicity-seeking witch.
However, it was part of CBB 19, into which she seemed to go in angry and then fight with all of the housemates, once prompting security intervention. She would almost be forgiven for that, but a career in presenting could never be returned to after trying to argue with every interviewer post-eviction.
I don't want to draw a line on You it, don't want because to I will pick- never forget what the likes of her and the 7 others put me through.
Okay, well,
I'll never forget it, never.
But,
because
Kim,
it was
every
sad and
reality-
awful, and it was bloody cruel.
Number 4, Shawn Walsh. Comedian Shawn Walsh's place on this list is based on technicality. After all, the career-killing moments was not really broadcast on TV, but the aftermath certainly was. Walsh fell prey to the Strictly curse. During the 16th series of Strictly Come Dancing, Walsh shared a kiss with dancing partner Katya Jones, despite both being romantically involved with other people. In a drama that was more suited to EastEnders than an extravagant dancing competition, Walsh and Jones were paraded in front of cameras to publicly apologise. However, rumours circulated, and Walsh has been paying for it ever since.
I made a mistake, which I'm very sorry for. I'm sorry for the hurt that I've caused.
Number 3, Gillian McKeith.
Here we are again at the Buzzcock trial area. Are you at the end of your tether yet?
Yeah, I feel deflated.
It is quite surprising that poo doctor Gillian McKeith has a career, to be honest, as there are a significant number of questions as to whether she even has a PhD. That's another story though, as it's her career as a television presenter that took a nosedive, or rather a swan dive, after being voted as the participant of the Unfair Ground Challenge. Maybe Dr. McKeith, possibly PhD, supposedly fainted, forcing the show to go to break and a different celeb to step up.
Let's get Bob in. Bob.
Okay, bring the oxygen in, please. We say supposedly as the fall was so very graceful. We don't know why she thought we'd take it seriously. It was her supposed second faint in 2 days. Her acting wasn't even that good either.
I think it's best if we go to a break right now and give Gillian the attention she needs. We'll find out if she can do it after the break.
Number 2, David Icke. If we were to say David Icke's name to you, what would you say he was famous for? You could say author, presenter, conspiracy theorist, and even footballer, and you'd be right.
The press claim that you claim to be the Son of God. Is that true?
Yes, you see, the thing is that it's quite funny, really.
But Icke is probably going to be best remembered for 2 words: lizard people. His book alleged that world leaders are shape-shifting aliens, which would be great if he was A, a comedy science fiction author, or B, not someone who's also claimed to be the son of a godhead.
I'm delighted that there's so much laughter in the audience tonight.
But no, it's a...
But just let me say this.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Why he would say this in an interview with the late Terry Wogan in 1991 is probably explained in one of his books, so if you fancy a laugh, then have a read. Oh, not sci-fi? And not comedy either? Well, not bad.
I am asking no one in this theatre, no one watching this programme, no one on this planet to believe a word of it.
Number 1, Roxanne Pallett.
I got it wrong.
Yeah.
I really got it wrong.
Now, what was Roxanne Pallett famous for? After a moment of a puzzled expression and silence, we'd have to remind you that she was an actress. Still not sure? She was in Lake Placid 3. No? Devil's Tower? What about Wrong Turn 6 Last Resort? Okay, fine, she was in Emmerdale for a bit, but brought controversy to CBB 22 with Pallett alleging that eventual winner Ryan Thomas had punched her repeatedly.
My mind ran away with me. I am a sensitive person, only my family and friends can vouch for that.
Problem is, there are cameras in the house, obviously, and they showed that Punchgate was a fabrication vindicating Thomas and KOing Pallett's career.
In the moment, it felt worse than it was. I can't prove a feeling. I can't show you a feeling.
Many would say she reaped what she sowed, but we were really looking forward to Wrong Turn 7, easily proven falsehood.
I massively apologise to not just Ryan, to his family, his friends, his fans, every single person that watched that.
Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.